Good morning, fellow tinkerers. So this morning I wanted to talk about the Atomstack A5 Pro and some maintenance tips that you may want to look into doing every once in a while. I've been running this laser now for about a year, and I really haven't done anything to it. It's a decent laser. This isn't a review for the laser, but it's more about the maintenance on the equipment. What I hadn't noticed was over time the wheels were getting worn out, and I have a couple wheels here that I've swapped out. So I ended up buying some wheels on Amazon. I'll put a maybe I'll put a link in the description. But I don't know, I think this came with 20 wheels, more than enough to replace everything. And the wheels were getting worn out in oblong shape. You'll focus. So the 45-degree corners that ride on the tracks kind of get worn. A combination of that and the eccentric nut on the back of this top laser x-axis was loose, so there was a wobble to the whole head here, and I hadn't noticed it. I mean, it must have started off slow and got worse. But what was happening was I was getting these lines. I was getting poor quality etching, right? And if you notice in the corner that these squares on the shade test are not square, right? So this is before all the work I did. This is after. I'll try and get a better before and after picture to load up, but like the text was kind of messy, better on the after repairing it. So I wasn't sure where the problem was, so I replaced the timing belts. Ended up realizing that this was loose, tightened this up, still being a problem. Ended up replacing all the wheels, and that was the final fix. But the other fix was riding this laser up higher on the mount. I'll get the USB microscope out so you can see, but so riding on the track, I mean, I was normally riding with this laser down low, right? I mean, I've got this Atomstack mounted on a little workbench here that I can replace, but it makes everything stable. And normally I slide in material under it, but this laser typically runs on the low end of it. And you can see all the marks here you can see the marks where I've been tightening it down. And so I'm riding down here. Well, that gives it a long area for it to have extra vibrations into it. So as this is down low, it'll give you bad movement on the x-axis. I haven't had a problem with the y-axis at all, right? So I did a couple, fired the laser, and we'll look at this under a microscope, but in the regular view of it, you can't really tell, but these lines going across are very squiggly, and these are much better. That's definitely something you want to look into. The other thing was the little card that they send with you, send with the laser to adjust the height. Now this measures 0.08 inches, and it's not the correct height for the laser. It will look at the microscope, but it gives you an oblong laser and not a little dot. What I found was bringing this laser up a little bit higher, I ended up stacking these two together, and that actually gives me the right height. let's look at a couple of the cards through the microscope. All right, first we're going to look at, let me focus this, at this oblong shaped laser burn. So what I did was fire the laser and just moved it left to right. Left, I made a rectangle, right? So you can see how wavy this was. This was before making the repairs to the wheels, timing belt, and adjustments. So as you come across, you get that oblong shape. As you go up, it looks like a nice straight line. And it is. I never had a problem going the y-axis. Get up to the top, run the laser back the other way, just by hitting the move button. Get over to the end. You can see all these little squigglies. After making all the repairs and adjusting the height, this is what we ended up with. So I got a little bit of a mess down the bottom corner as it worked its way back. You can see the burn is much tighter, almost a circle, much straighter. Come over, go back up, get to the top corner, and then move back across. And that was that little spot there was in between two movements, right? So I moved it twice, all the way over to the other corner, back down. So everything is much straighter. So here under the microscope, we're looking at the shade test that we did, and you can see these. It's just wavy. It's like a weave, a basket weave, and it ends up etching everything off and overlapping each other. And as you get up to the corner, that's where it goes out of whack. Every single one of them is like a basket weave. It was horrible, right? And then if we look at the shade test for after repairing it, so after repairing the laser, the tracks, the wheels, and adjusting the height of the laser, it is much better quality. You come down here, look at the numbers. Right? So find the other one. Same number, 40%. Right? And those are the letters, numbers, before fixing it. What really got me going into this test was I do a lot of etching on axes and doing images, right? So this is one I did a while back before the laser started being a problem, and it's got pretty good detail. So the way I do these, spray paint it, and then I stop burning off all the darker areas. Everything that's dark I burn off the paint, etch it, spray paint it again. In the light burn software, I make the image really bright, so only the dark spots are really showing. And then, burn it off, etch it, and then I adjust the image back towards its normal colors, right, until it's really dark. So this ends up getting about 10 etches with all different brightnesses to the image. And it's a decent quality image. So I started doing another one, and I wasn't sure where my problem was, but I tried to do the Avengers, and the quality is pretty poor. I used the same method. I wasn't quite sure why it didn't come out as good. You can see Hulk up in the corner. And this, I worked whole weekend trying to get this guy right, and I didn't come out like I wanted to. And that's where I noticed that I started getting into the laser and doing some text and noticing that it just wasn't as good as it should have been. So if you see the text after making the repairs, focus, you fuck, pretty good. If you look at the text before the repairs, pretty poor quality. I got another one here. I mean, it's just, I think it's night and day on the quality. Every little bit helps. So takeaway, check your wheels, check the tightness on the eccentric nuts, make sure everything is snug. Replace your wheels after, replace the wheels after you've been running it for a while. You know, you can check them and see. And I think it was $13 for the wheels. Timing belt. It also replaced